In Chapter 23 of Baki Rahen, we saw Jack excitedly hugging Pickle, calling him his predecessor. The size difference between them was remarkable, and everyone present was attentive to any movement these two giants made. Jack thanked Pickle for helping him perfect his bite, and recalled their first fight in the underground arena, where he lost to the prehistoric caveman. Jack took that fight as a great lesson that helped him improve in various aspects of his life. However, the feeling of humiliation and helplessness he felt at that moment is something he will never forget. Jack reveals that his desire is to see Pickle cry in desperation, just as he did in the past. Being treated as a food reserve deeply wounded the pride of the biting cyborg, and despite his genuine appreciation for the caveman, his feeling of revenge is still very strong. Mitsunari mentioned that even now that Jack is taller than Pickle, for the caveman, it's as if he were a tiny dinosaur. Height was never a problem for someone who hunted dinosaurs several meters tall. Jack seems very confident in the power of his bite, and is sure that this time the outcome of the fight will be in his favor. He even jokes about wanting to surpass the bite of wild animals like lions, hyenas, or sharks. The chapter ends right at the moment when Pickle lunges at Jack, surprisingly biting his left trapezius, leaving everyone present astonished. This week's chapter begins by showing us the continuation of Pickle's attack on Jack Hanma. The caveman had sunk his fangs into Jack's trapezius muscle. The prehistoric caveman, excited to start the fight, hugs him tightly, using his powerful arms to wrap around the cyborg's body. Additionally, Pickle crosses his legs around Jack's torso, applying a kind of lock, with no intention of letting go. Jack seems very calm despite being bitten with great force. His expression is serene, and he doesn't even bend his knees. Instead, he remains standing completely still. Immediately, everyone present is stunned by such an action. Some, alarmed by the danger of the situation, begin to step back. At that moment, Mitsunari bravely rushes towards the two giants and tries, though unsuccessfully, to separate Pickle from Jack using his small arms, while shouting at them to stop. Passers-by watch as the primitive man is biting Jack. However, some refuse to believe this is real, commenting that it could be part of a movie and wondering where the cameras are. Mitsunari begs Pickle to stop, at the same time reminds Jack that they are in a public place, in the middle of the street, which is not the place to do this. Jack, with a slight smile on his face, responds to the old man that he is not doing anything, that he just turned around and Pickle attacked him, so it is not up to him to stop the fight. At that moment, the cyborg calmly and subtly asks Pickle to please let him go and step aside. This action surprises Mitsunari, who did not expect such a response from Jack, and did not understand what he was trying to achieve by politely asking a wild man like Pickle for a favor. Suddenly, the cyborg begins to slowly raise his gigantic right arm as the crowd watches intently. In an instant, Jack's expression changes drastically. His kind face disappears, transforming into a serious and angry face. Suddenly, the cyborg executes a movement so fast that almost no one present can see it. Jack raises his right arm, pretending to strike Pickle, but actually just using the momentum to slide his body down, thus escaping the caveman's bite. Jack frees himself from the powerful arms and legs of the primitive man. With an impressive display of speed, he not only breaks free from the caveman's arms but also moves a considerable distance away from his opponent. The movement was so quick that Pickle was still suspended in the air. As he lands on his feet, the caveman reflects his surprise at his rival's agile movement. His eyes remain attentive, watching Jack. The enormous Pickle landed softly on the ground and balanced on one leg, while we see that in his mouth he had a piece of Jack's shirt that he had torn off with his previous bite. In the next panel, we can see how Pickle's bite had caused considerable damage to Jack's trapezius muscle. The cyborg looks at the primitive man with a serious gaze and then adopts an attack stance. The crowd present did not understand what had happened. The movement had been extremely fast. Even Mitsunari was amazed at how quickly Jack had moved despite his size and weight. The cyborg was already in a fighting stance, ready to battle. However, we can see Pickle just getting back up. Jack smiles and leans his body, as if preparing for his next move. While preparing his right fist, Jack yells at Pickle to brace for impact and tells him to grit his teeth. Although Pickle did not understand the words, he immediately goes on alert. Meanwhile, the crowd continues to wonder if this is real, as they don't see any cameras recording, while others have realized that this is indeed real. Jack's feet begin to move quickly. The cyborg steps forward with his left foot and moves faster than before. After a swift movement and a loud burst, we see how Jack's gigantic fist lands squarely on Pickle's face. Jack had managed to knock down the caveman with a powerful right punch. The impact was so strong that it caused a loud crash in the middle of the street. That punch also had enough force to lift the gigantic fighter into the air, something that had been very difficult for Jack to achieve before. The punch's power caused visible damage to Pickle's face, who didn't have time to protect himself despite knowing what was coming. Pickle had fallen backward onto the ground, several meters away from Jack. The impact seemed to have hurt the primitive man, who fell backward in an almost comical way. The people on the street couldn't believe the strength of that punch, and how it had sent that gigantic individual flying, causing some to question if this was really an authentic fight. They were increasingly confused. Pickle was still conscious, but very surprised by the powerful blow he had just received. In an instant, the crowd had moved even further away from these two giants, knowing that being near them could be extremely dangerous. The atmosphere of the scene made it seem as if they were really filming a movie scene. The caveman quickly proceeds to lift his legs and braces them against the ground, while his head remains at the same level. Then he agilely gets up, performing a great somersault in the air, and takes off his old, dirty jacket. Pickle stands up and gets into a fighting stance, excited and ready to fight seriously this time. These two titans stand face to face, ready to clash, when suddenly a deep voice from behind Jack tells them to stop. Suddenly, the young mafia leader appears, capturing their attention. The indestructible Hanayama steps in, separating them before they can continue the fight. Hanayama tells the two giants to leave this fight for today. It has been enough. The crowd wonders who this guy is. Some, seeing his elegant white suit, assumed he might be the film director asking to end the scene. With Hanayama's appearance to stop these two fighters, the chapter comes to an end. There will be no chapter next week, so we will see the outcome of this conflict in 2 weeks. So, this chapter showcases an impressive display of strength and strategy by Jack Hanma. The cyborg made only a couple of moves, and that was enough for us to realize that his strength and speed have greatly increased. It is said that the bigger and heavier you are, the slower you become. However, this does not apply to Jack Hanma. He remains fast and maintains that explosiveness that characterizes him. Jack demonstrated skill and intelligence by quickly freeing himself from Pickle's grasp. He moved with such speed that he surprised everyone, including the cavemen. This agility, combined with his impressive strength, suggests that Jack has reached a new level in his combat ability. It's not just about brute strength, but a lethal combination of power and refined technique. I've read some theories that Jack was using the Shaori style. I don't think this is the case, but it would be interesting if he learned to use such a powerful technique. It would definitely help him against physically strong opponents like Yujiro Hanma or Oliva Biscuit. The impact of Jack's punch to Pickle, which manages to knock down the gigantic fighter, is a clear demonstration of his progress. Previously, Pickle had been a difficult opponent to knock down. In the previous fight, Jack mentioned that the caveman's jaw was the hardest he had ever hit in his life. In this chapter, he didn't hit him in the jaw, but sent him flying with a front punch. This clearly shows the great increase in his physical strength. Hanayama's intervention at the end of the chapter adds an interesting twist to the plot. Hanayama, known for his imposing presence and strength, acts as a peacemaker, suggesting that the fight between Jack and Pickle might be postponed for later. A possible theory for the next chapter is that Hanayama intervenes not only to stop the fight, but to propose a more controlled setting for the confrontation between Jack and Pickle, such as a match in the underground arena. This would not only increase the excitement but also allow the characters to demonstrate their skills without restrictions, under the watchful eyes of other fighters and spectators. Additionally, this is what Mitsunari wanted, as it would be a waste of money if these two beasts fought in the street and not in his arena. One notable thing is that this is the first direct interaction between Jack Hanma and Hanayama. They had never exchanged words before. It's not the first time they've seen each other, but it is the first time they have interacted this closely. It's curious because at this point, one would think they had already crossed words before. Hanayama's intervention suggests that there might be mutual respect between these two powerful fighters. It would be interesting if Hanayama becomes a key ally for Jack in this arc. Perhaps a friendship like the one between Hanada and Kosho Shinadi could be born. Remember, these two became good friends after the fight they had in Mathabe's dojo. It would be great if Jack and Hanayama developed a friendship. They're very similar, and I think they would get along well. Maybe after this altercation with Pickle, they could go for a few drinks at a nearby bar. But well, this is just my opinion. Tell me what you think of this chapter. Do you think it would have been great if Jack and Pickle continued their fight in the streets of Tokyo? Or do you think it's a better idea to have this epic encounter in the famous underground arena? Leave your opinions in the comment box. And well, friends, thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you liked it. I hope you have a nice day or night. See you soon.